Hey Gators, it's Tara.
And I'm Sam.
Welcome to the Swampcast.
We hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for coming. Like and subscribe if you get a chance, and let's hop on the video.
Now the most monstrous creation of all, the return of Perfect.
I am the greatest alive, yeah. I am the greatest alive, yeah. I am the greatest alive.
Thank you everyone for coming to the Swampcast. This is going to be our podcast for With the Huddle Up group with Wilson. This is obviously the first of many, and we're planning to have many where we introduce teachers within our school, as well as important people in our community, maybe some students who run some clubs within our school. We have two great guests. Couldn't think of two better guests to start with. We have Miss Moore and Miss Hardy, who have obviously been teaching at the school for a long time, coached many different sports from rugby to volleyball, many other things. We just want to ask you guys a couple questions about school as well as just basic sports and stuff like that. So, first question we had was, growing up, what does your sports schedule look like in terms of balancing school with sports?
I'll start. Go ahead. So growing up, we often had practices in the morning. We didn't have as many outside sports as what I would say the youth would have now.
Right.
So that was kind of our sport. I mean, every person made it to practice, and it was the reason why we went to school for a lot of us, was the sport part of it.
Yeah, same. So my practices were all in the morning, 7 a.m. You never missed. And the expectation was homework's done. You always show up. We worked hard every practice.
Right. Yeah,
And it was good. It was fun.
I feel like that always makes teams a lot better. So, in terms of like sports within our school, what do you feel that it brings to our school in terms of kind of school spirit as well as like school pride?
I think it's a game changer. It creates a sense of community, and that's where you get the pride, going out to support their teams. It's an opportunity to step outside the academics and make school memorable,
Yeah.
right? And I always say to the kids, nobody can remember what you learned in class. You may remember how great the teacher was.
Yeah.
You may not actually remember the material, but you remember all the fun events that happened.
Yeah.
I can tell you events from like my high school that were really fun. I can't
Yeah.
tell you what I learned in class. I can tell you the teachers that made it fun for me,
Yeah.
right? And it's nice for us to see athletes outside the academics.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't do so well in academics, but you know, they shine in sports.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was in grade 10, one of the grade 9s, like we had a volleyball game going on in the gym, so you know, the gym classes will sit and watch, and one of the grade 9s was like, can't believe all these people are like watching us, this is so fun.
Yeah.
I was like, wait till the bell. And then the bell rang and
Everybody
laughed.
Unfortunately our times changed. It was nice when we had last period where we were all here and our team is playing.
Yeah.
I mean, academically it's better for the students, they don't miss a lot of class, but for school spirit, the fact that we were like, no, this is important, we're gonna go watch our team, then everybody would stay for that, and then when they started seeing the crowd that was there, they wanted to stay,
Yeah.
you know? So
I feel like that makes your teams better too, because you just
100%.
have like your whole school behind you that you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rugby with us, I remember in grade 9, our team, nobody really came to watch us, but grade 10, the crowds were like full, because I will say we did do really well that season leading into the playoffs. Obviously playoffs didn't go as well as we wanted it to, but leading into it, we were doing really well that people wanted to come watch, and I feel like that also contributed to us doing better, because we felt like we had a school supporting us.
And then your teacher, your math teacher, or whatever teacher sees you on the field and then can have a conversation about, hey, that was really great. It was nice to see you outside being part of something that represents our school. It is important. It's about belonging.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
sports does that for everybody. A club does that as well.
Yeah.
So, and the more people you can generate, then they feel like they belong. They all buy the same gear. Then they all are one. We look the same. We do the same things. And you know what I mean? You're part of something.
Yeah.
And that's what it does.
Yeah.
What would you guys say the best part about being a coach at a school is, like being a school coach?
So for me, because I coach rugby, often it's the first time girls have ever played the sport. So it's brand new sport. And so I love teaching something that's new and see some of them excel. One girl actually started here and she just got named to the development team for Ontario. So it's kind of like,
It's not a sport that a lot of kids would come here and know that they play outside.
Yeah.
So you actually are developing them and you're teaching them, right? And then you see that progression and where they can get to. And they were talking about that in my class the other day. It's so fun, and I'm so glad I had the opportunity at high school. I never would have went and tried rugby or tried the outside thing, but I got the chance in high school to try it. And we did so well. We improved so much. We bonded. I made so many friends that aren't in my classes. You know, and that is what is fun for us.
It's fun, and just to see the commitment and the perseverance,
And the
especially
success.
for a brand new sport. And I love it because I love the sport, so it gives me the opportunity to be still part of a sport I love. Seeing the kids
like
outside
share
of the
passion.
classroom
Yeah.
as well, because you get to know them a bit better and see them on a different, not in an academic side, just how they are.
Not in a you have to sit there and be
Yeah.
serious and
and
be quiet.
and you get to know them a lot better. It just makes it more fun for me, and I see them in the hall, and
Well, and that if they are in your class and maybe originally they don't like the subject that you're teaching,
Yeah.
then you have that relationship. You know something different about that person, and that kid is more motivated.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, because it sometimes, like, obviously it shouldn't necessarily be this way, but sometimes being like an athlete and being in a class that, like, it's not necessarily a subject you wanna be in, you can sit there and look at that teacher just as a teacher, whereas like with you, Ms. Moore, and Mr. Henry, and Mr. Nemus, and everybody else who's coached me, you see them more as just like a regular person rather than strictly just as a teacher. And I feel like that also, if you do ever have them as a teacher, it makes you want to do better in their class because you want to impress them because you're used to them coaching you in a way.
Well, I think as a teacher who coaches and a teacher who runs clubs, you then see that the commitment that the balancing. I've often fought for a kid to get a scholarship like the Queen's Chancellor Scholarship. So she was on sports outside, she was on my volleyball team, and her average was the same. So to me, a kid that can balance both of those, you know, that I have that understanding, and I think people who run other things are like, this kid is not only doing really well in your class, they're doing the commitment part, all the things that make you successful as a person in a team. Outside of a sport, in a job, they're so important. And I think that's why we understand when you are a coach that, hey, they're juggling this and that. So, you know, you have that understanding with a kid in your class too.
definitely.
Do you feel like being a school coach helps you have an insight on the students' perspectives of either their courses, teachers, or struggles? If so, has this affected the way that you choose to teach?
Yeah.
For sure. So when we coach, especially sevens, we're gone for the entire day. And many of my senior players would have textbooks open, bring their books to do their homework or study in between. And then when you have conversations with them on who has what subject, who has what job, plus sports, and then you're thinking, wow, that's a lot on your plate.
So, kind of bridging off that, how important do you think the communication between a student and a teacher who hasn't coached something is?
We talk about it all the time.
Yeah, we tell them, so we as coaches will often send out an email saying, here's our game times, so the teachers are informed, but we also tell our players, you have to speak to your teachers ahead of time, let them know and ask for any work that you're going to miss, have that open communication, because you need to make sure that you keep that teacher informed so that they will help you if there's a due date that you need extended.
It creates responsibility for the athlete that it's a life skill when you go to a job. Right? And I think that's important.
So it kind of gives people a sense of like accountability when it comes to it.
Right.
Because I know as much as we do have Remind and Google Classroom and all this kind of stuff, I still do find myself, if I know I have something, I just say it to the teacher when I'm in class. Because I also think it's easier.
But it's also, that's a skill. So often, lots of students are relying on just sending that Remind text. It's a skill you have to learn. They need to learn how to have a face-to-face conversation with an adult. And if you have to deliver bad news, again, that's a learned skill. You have to learn how to do it.
Well, I know last year, one of my classes, there was a point in volleyball where it was like game after game after game, like almost one every week. And usually I'd give like a week notice, but anytime my teacher, he was saying, okay, on this day we have presentation. As soon as I found out, I said, I have volleyball that day. So Kay can do it the next. And then the week after, Kay, our ISU presentation is this day. I have volleyball that day. And then it was like, okay, you can do it the next day. Next week, okay, we have a test. I have volleyball that day.
Well, when you have such a tight, like a short season, and it's every week.
Condensed.
Like
Yeah.
rugby and girls rugby, it's like full day, same day. I think it was every Wednesday we were gone for a month.
I remember that with sevens too, because it was like,
tough.
I also do think that comes back into accountability with like, accountability as well as communication, because like with a lot of times I would just tell my teacher, I can write the test the day before or something like that, like the week after, I don't care if I have to do something.
A lot of
like that.
teachers are not unreasonable, and if they know that you go the extra mile to get things done, to hand it in before, to suggest I could write it before, if you put in that effort, there's not very many teachers that
That
would
are-
say,
yeah.
yeah, no.
I think that when teachers are like that little bit more understanding of like your circumstances in terms of school and jobs and stuff like that, you do excel in the classes because
You try hard.
you feel like they want you to do
Yeah, they
well.
care.
For sure.
They care.
I kind of had a question about like the quadmester system. So I always like feeling as prepared as possible, whether that be for like an upcoming like sports game or for even like testing quizzes in class. Do you feel that the quadmesters are like having an impact on our preparation for university, either in a positive, negative, or do you feel like it's not having much of a change?
I think both. I think that the responsibility part on your end to keep caught up, to learn some of it on your own, will help you so much in university.
Right.
I don't think e-learning is going to go away so much.
Yeah.
You know, and I look at people who are in university right now, they have online courses, they have to go to the classroom, they have to figure out what they're doing, they do have a portion where they have to teach it on their own,
Yeah.
and making your own schedule. You know, it's almost flipped. You get a little bit of hours of instruction, and the majority of it is
It's
you
figured
learning it
out.
on your own. So the better you can become at that
Time
now,
management.
it will help you in university.
Yeah.
You know, if you are organized, if you have a good studying strategy, you'll be fine no matter how the schedule looks, you'll be fine.
I was also very thankful in grade 11 because my bio teacher, he was really good about, like, he was like, this is a university class. This is how you're going to learn in university.
That's
And
right.
rather than giving us something to fill in the blank, which he did sometimes if it was certain things, but
Yeah.
if it was a lesson, he was like, get out your line paper
Good for
or
him.
get your computer
Yeah.
out, and do what you have to do to write
And that
down
was.
notes.
That is a skill for sure when you're listening to a lecture and have typing out, like you have to listen, be able
Summarize.
to, and summarize, type out the most important parts.
Yeah.
That is a skill. You
Yeah.
have to practice it.
How do you guys feel about the quadmesters? How is it for the learning?
I definitely feel like it's fast, but at least this semester, like, or this quadmester, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I've had pretty good teachers, that they're pretty good about understanding like the work they're giving us and the workload. And I have a fairly heavy like quadmester because I have math, I have advanced functions, and I have bio.
Oh, that's a lot.
So it is a lot, but both the teachers are really good about like understanding how much work they have.
And they haven't had a lot of time to figure out the quadmester.
Yeah, that
I was
it's-
saying, it'll be interesting to see how we switch our strategy from quad 1 to quad 4.
Yeah.
Give them a chance to teach that same subject again, because I'm teaching science quad 4. And so I'm listening to what all the teachers are saying with their struggles, as well as what the students are saying, just about the testing and, you know, the
Yeah.
assignments and how they're delivering things. And, you know, it's hard to get the whole curriculum in, which has always been on our minds every time we're
Yeah.
teaching. It's like, you gotta get the curriculum, right? So it'll be interesting to see that
Yeah,
transformation
'cause
towards the end.
I was talking to Tay about that yesterday, about one of the classes, about how it is a lot, but we were curious to see how it would go,
Right.
changing like how much they would try to put in
Yeah.
versus how much.
We're in survival mode. We've had to learn new technologies that we haven't had to learn in the past, you know, quickly the night before. Obviously, we want the students to do well, but I still feel like it will get better or change by the
Yeah.
time quad 4 happens.
Because, like, at first I didn't love the fact that we wouldn't see the teacher for a whole week.
Yeah.
Because it's harder to, like, if I need some explaining, it's hard to explain that over remind
Yeah.
or something. So I wasn't, but I'm like, that might help me prepare if universities don't go back next year and it's all,
That's
like you said, it's
everything's
all
Zoom.
online. So it kind of helps me prepare, but at the same time,
But in
It's hard not
university, you
seeing
don't
them.
generally have a conversation with your professor who delivers a lecture. You would have a meeting maybe once a week with a teacher assistant, which is like your tutor,
Yep.
kind of, and that's where you get your help. There
Right.
isn't, you have to search out for help.
I also like the fact that since there's no exam, like I know my bio teacher's giving like mini assignments
Yeah.
to fill in that exam mark, and it's like mark booster. So
Yeah.
I like that fact.
Yeah, I
so.
feel like they're doing a good job balancing when they have
Yeah.
the test and then the online, maybe doing some assignments to help, you know, balance the mark that way.
Yeah.
Because some kids can't process that information as quickly in the timeline to learn it. Think about it, you're learning something in 10 weeks that normally you get to learn
Yeah.
from September to almost February.
Yeah,
Right?
literally.
So that's what I was saying, with the
Yeah.
leadership class, we're literally doing 10 certifications in 10 weeks.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, a lot of them online, but, you know, to get that much done
Yeah.
in 10 weeks
it's
is
still,
pretty good
it's still
for
really
them.
good.
Yeah.
Which I think it's like, I hear a lot of people like say like, as much as we're stressed about like our classes, I'm sure you guys are the exact same way in terms of the workload.
For sure.
Yeah.
I know that when COVID happened, some people didn't get all the material if they didn't choose to do it. You know, I've heard 11 saying, well, I was the second semester, so we didn't do that part. I'm sure they did, it just doesn't, you may not have done it. But
Yeah.
that's the
It was
thing, right?
on the
It
thing.
was hard to connect with students that way, it was different.
Mhm.
So I think, you know, it's the best that we can do right now.
It's like that with me for math right now because I had math second semester
Oh.
last year, so going into a lot of the topics this year, I'm completely fresh that I didn't know anything. I didn't know about it last year really, as much as I did my homework and I tried to keep up with
Yeah, you were
classes.
learning it on your own.
Yeah, it was just so much that like, even if I didn't get it, there wasn't necessarily as much of a place for me to go
Right,
and learn it
No.
that
that's
I
true.
did my best to get it, but
Right.
at the end of the day, there's only so much you can understand on your own.
Yeah.
Especially because none of the students are obviously qualified teachers. So, like, it's not exactly like, not exactly that we can be the best teachers for ourselves as much
No.
as
Well,
we can.
I
be.
hope COVID has shown how important teachers can be.
Yeah,
I get a feeling that the public is a little bit appreciative of a teacher now.
yeah, 100%. I feel like a lot of
I don't
people-
think people go into teaching, you know, for the summer's off. You really have to enjoy the student
Yeah.
contact.
Yes.
You won't survive if you don't.
Yeah, 100%.
So this is kind of with like creating bonds between teachers and students. So like, are there any tips or tricks that you could give a student to kind of have a bond or make
Join
a teacher
something.
like you?
You know, it's,
Listen, I make sure that all my students I have my expectations laid out.
fair, but
This is
firm.
what I expect. If you are, and we talked about the open communication,
Yeah,
letting me know if there's a problem, an issue, et cetera, ahead of time, gets you huge bonus marks.
All of us would agree that, you know, we go into teaching to connect with the kids. If you don't have that connection, it won't be successful. I mean, and in terms of kids, I think there is something for everybody. There's so many clubs in normal times. For somebody, you do have to join. I think our biggest message to grade 9s are, you need to join something.
yeah,
You know, you need to be part of something, because we all know in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, belonging
Yes.
is one of the
Yeah.
lower, that helps you to self-actualize.
yeah,
And so belonging makes you feel like you're valued,
yeah.
right? And that's why we're always preaching that in grade 9.
Yeah.
Parent-teachers interviews, we're saying to parents, it would be great if they would get involved. That's why we're always in, especially in phys ed, we look at those little grade 9s like, you need to come up with this, you need to come up with this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you don't know how to do that, we'll teach you.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
You know,
Yeah.
join this, join music, join
Yeah.
DECA, whatever, you'll have fun, you'll meet different people.
Yeah.
And then you're connected, and then you're valued, then you care,
Yeah.
right? And you want to be here.
Well, it's especially like that with our grade 9 rugby team because I
Yes.
think really we only had probably Busey and McGuire who knew how to play.
Yeah, you had 2
We
players.
had a couple
That's
other
it.
guys who know how to play, but like,
But are athletic,
but
You can run.
but we had a bunch of other athletic guys and
yeah.
with Mr. Henry and Miss Moore and even Buse and McGuire, we kind of learned how to play, and I also feel like that's given all of us kind of, when we see each other in the hallway, we're still like, hi, like,
Yeah.
how you doing,
Yeah.
stuff like that, even guys that you might not have talked to if it hadn't been for that.
Yeah. And that's what's great about a varsity team as well, or even having 9s with 10s, you know, in lacrosse, Ms.
Yeah.
Hummer did a really good job of having a senior pair with a grade 9.
Right.
And we're having a team meeting here, we're eating lunch together at this day.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna do
Yeah.
this with your, you know, your mentor and mentee, you know, because then there's not a divide within the group, you
Yeah,
know, and that was really well, like, a
And
lot
for-
of
yeah,
girls-
and as us as coaches, we get to meet a whole bunch of other students. I wouldn't have met
yeah,
all you guys. And then even like a whole bunch of the girls' team. I don't teach them all, but now I've met so
Yeah.
many students over the years through coaching.
yeah,
I've never taught them. I've never taught some of the girls that still stay in touch with me. I'm like, I actually have never taught them. I've only coached them.
yeah,
That's true.
I've never been their teacher,
That's
but
true.
I've only been their
The
coach.
students
Yeah.
that we keep in contact with too is usually through It's not just our class.
Yeah,
Right.
it's mostly through
When they
coaching.
leave, they
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah,
Because it feels like a home, a family,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't feel like a building,
yeah.
Right.
right? It's a place where people care.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Makes it fun.
Which I feel like also makes the academics better because
Yes,
people are more
yes.
willing to come in.
Yes,
And I think it's because we say student athlete first too.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, obviously, just gone on for a while, but I think
You
we
have
talked
to make-
about.
Oh my gosh, we could talk.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we could talk forever about
Yeah.
stuff like this, but I feel like we covered a lot of things that I feel like a lot of students are actually gonna like to hear in terms of like how important communication is and just kind of general school. So I want to say thank you guys for both coming. I know that you guys obviously have stuff you could be doing right now, but obviously you're here and I really appreciate that.
No problem.
This is our first one. We're still figuring
Let's
this
just
out.
show you again how sport, the skills that you learn in sport
Yeah.
translate into life,
Yeah.
right? They're important.
Perfect.
I am the greatest alive. I am the greatest alive. I am the greatest alive.
We hope you guys enjoyed and thank you to our guests for coming.
We appreciate the view. Please like and subscribe if you get a chance, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.